And it's really just aligning your career with purpose. And I found that that's when you can go to work and not feel drained, but instead feel invigorated and to use your gifts and your talents to make a bigger difference.
Welcome to the My Future Business Show, where we get you in front of your best audience and keep you there. Not only are we interviewing the biggest names in business to help you become even more successful, we're inviting you to book your spot on the show to help you grow your business. So at the end of the call, make sure you fill in the interview application form at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. Hi, and welcome back to the My Future Business Show. It's Rick Nusky. Happy to be here with you today. In fact, no matter where you are in this wide, wonderful world, I hope you are doing very well. Now, I also like to say thank you very much for all of the feedback that I have been receiving about the show. It's wonderful to know that we are making a difference to you. Now, speaking of people who are making a difference, I'm on the line with Davina Ware. Welcome to the show, Davina.
Hello, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Yes, thank you for joining me. It's a great pleasure. Now, Davina is a career transitions coach, and we're going to take a deep dive into what this means for you, even if you're starting up a new business or you're going into a new job. But before we do that, Davina, I always love to spend a couple of minutes learning a bit about you. Would you mind sharing a little bit about your background, your lifestyle, and what you like to do in your recreation time?
Absolutely. I'm a naturally positive person, so anything that is self-development, that is love and light and energy is
Hmm.
what I like to spend my time doing. So that's running with my running group. I do a lot of reading and spending time with my family, although right now that's virtually. So that's, sharing smiles and sharing anecdotes as much as I can with positive people who I can pour into and who can pour back into me. So anything that brings joy is where I like to spend my time.
Fantastic. There's the power of a smile can't be understated in these current times, can it?
No, no. If anything, it's the little things, such as a smile, that we now can see go a long way. It doesn't take much to find happiness and joy, and a smile, even if you're smiling at yourself in the mirror, it will brighten a day.
It'll brighten the day, absolutely. Now, I know that you also hold an MBA in integrated marketing and a bachelor's in marketing communications. Now, we're going to be talking about that as it relates to your work as a career transition coach. But I think, Davina, a good place to start the call would be to learn a little bit more about what actually is a career transition coach.
So a career transition coach is in the realm of life coaching. So it's taking people from point A to an upward level of point B.
Hmm.
So whether that's a place where you've been stuck or you just can't get to the next level, um, a career coach, and especially in transitioning, is to help you get to the next place. And in my space specifically, this is for, well, I work with people who want to make a full change
Hmm.
in their life through their career, because we spend most of our awake life there. So as a career transition coach, I'm helping people, mind, body, and spirit, to make the change and to go to the next level as a whole person. So not parts of you are transitioning into a new space. So it's not maybe you physically transitioned, but maybe mentally or spiritually you're still stuck in point A, but it's taking the whole person so that you can be successful in this new space, successful and fruitful, and find fulfillment in your next career.
So are we talking about, having, I guess, a purpose to what you're doing?
Absolutely. So although I'm a career transition coach, a lot of times I call myself a professional purpose launcher. And it's really just aligning your career with purpose. And I found, even personally, that that's when you can go to work and not feel drained, but instead feel invigorated and to use your gifts and your talents to make a bigger difference instead of just going to work, doing a job, coming home, and your real self being separated from your work.
Yeah, it's funny because I often see, and this happened with me with my first experience at university. I noticed that I ended up going through several years, 4 years in fact, and a little bit more on top of that to get this particular qualification. Then I found that I actually didn't like it. Is this the same experience that you had that led you to become a career transition coach? What was the genesis of this for you?
Absolutely. That's definitely a piece of it. I spent all this time pursuing marketing,
Mm-hmm.
but here in the States at the time that I graduated, the housing market crashed. So we were going through a recession. So the abundance of opportunities that may have been available the year before had dried up. So there wasn't a situation where I was leaving college and jumping right into my career. I just had to find something to pay the bills. And I was on this path where I was further and further away from what I wanted to do. So I was doing a lot of administrative things. And then I had to rediscover what my degree meant as far as marketing, because a
Yeah.
lot of people, what I notice, a lot of employers will label things in a certain way. But to your point, I'm like, I don't like this. What
Mm-hmm.
am I doing?
I made a mistake.
I made a mistake, and am I stuck here? Is there no choice? Do I have to go back to school?
Mm-hmm.
Where can I go from here? So I tried different things based on what I liked to do. So I went into academic advising at colleges, which allowed me to help students to navigate the waters of school, but also help them to figure out their careers. And I felt fulfilled in doing that. And then I thought, but I'm not doing this for myself. I'm attaching and helping other people bridge the gap to set off, so to speak, on their careers, but I'm not doing my career. So I had to do a lot of soul searching and a
Mm.
lot of digging. And ultimately, I had to reroute and repackage myself in order that I could get in a marketing career that I actually enjoyed.
Did you find that your, I guess, your psyche, your mindset behind all of this was holding you back? And is that something that you talk about with your clients to help them, I guess, get out of their own way?
I'd say that's the biggest thing. I spent a lot of time personally in frustration.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're frustrated, you can't see.
Yeah, yeah.
Or when you feel burdened or disillusioned, or quite frankly, a little resentful and jaded, because as I mentioned, I was in the middle of a recession and I'm like, this wasn't supposed to happen to me. I was supposed to get a great job and then life would be wonderful. And so spending time in that space and then commiserating with friends who were in the same space, it didn't land me anywhere. But kind of having conversations, talking to mentors and getting to a place where I had to say, wait a minute, this, my mind is not right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even in a place or I can't even be connected to a positive environment or a fulfilling environment when I'm not being positive myself.
Yeah.
In essence, I'm attracting these negative experiences because I'm being negative. And the first thing though that helps when I'm working with my clients in mindset is clarity. Where am I? How did I get here? Where do I want to go and why? And once I became clear on those things, then I was able to forge a path of intention, purpose, and fulfillment. But that mindset piece is the foundation for all of it.
Yes, thank you so much. And then closely connected to that would I guess would be this idea, this feeling of fear that a lot of people might have that you work with. Now, for somebody who has been in their career for an extended period of time and they're essentially miserable, they don't know why they come to you. How difficult is it for somebody to turn that corner? And could you share a little like an experience that you've had with that?
Sure. Um, not for in my experience, it hasn't been very difficult. It's like a key and just finding the right key
Hmm.
to unlock the door. And if you keep using the wrong keys, the door will never open, which is where I find most people end up stuck or in a stagnant place. But my first priority in working with clients is finding that right key. And because this is not a conversation people have normally amongst friends and within their homes, it's just a space
Hmm.
in their mind and their heart that just hasn't been touched. And as a result of that, people end up 15 years in a really trying and a really difficult career. But it's just a matter of we can shine some light on this area. Then I notice from there, it's everything starts to open up from there.
Starts to
Everything
roll.
starts to open. Yeah, it's like taking cold medicine. Once you take the medicine, everything it seems to open up, but you have to take the right medicine to
Hmm.
address the symptoms that you're having. Otherwise, you'll stay clogged up. So I had a client in particular who thought she wanted to work in human resources. But after doing some real digging and, like I mentioned, shining some light on the areas that just had not received any attention, she realized she didn't want to do that at all. That was just what she was familiar with. But ultimately, she wanted to work in human services as far as social work,
Ah,
completely different.
yeah, yeah.
But just spending time in that area and unlocking that, like her mind was open. And so she was able to see other opportunities. And then she was able to see her skills in a different light so that she could properly go in that direction and change her career ultimately.
What I'm taking from this, Davina, is that some people who are naturally inclined to work with other individuals who love doing that, you're helping them to find that. Whereas others who might be more, I guess, introverted and like working on their own, you also uncover those types of different personalities. Is this a process that can work for any personality type? Do you think?
Absolutely. And actually, in my program, the 90-day career fix,
Hmm.
we spend time on personality types. And myself, I'm kind of an enigma because I consider myself an introverted extrovert.
Yeah.
So I'm introverted. Like I'm so being in this quarantine,
Hmm.
I'm at home. I'm in a comfortable space. It's comfortable for me where I can be myself. But at the same time, I light up when I'm speaking to people. I light up when I'm um, a keynote speaker or at an engagement. But of course, those things happen in very specific ways. So I can relate and speak to both types of people, those who need to work more independently, but still need to shine,
Yeah.
which almost sounds like an oxymoron. And
Mm.
then those who need to be amongst the people who get their energy from environments that are full of other people that have energy. So I can relate to both, but the principles work the same because it's really about pulling what's been dead or just not viable within a person. It's about pulling it to the forefront
Hmm.
and not only dealing with it, but um, it's like a planter, like a gardener. When you water the thing that has been dormant inside you, your fulfillment, your peace, your happiness, your ideal career, but when you put it in front of you and then you start to plant seeds within it and then water it and shine some light on it, then it'll grow. And that's in any soil and with any seed. And I liken that to the different skills and the different types of careers that are out there.
Yeah, this is wonderful feedback. Thank you so very much for sharing with us, Davina. Now, I know that you have had experience over time. Now, with time comes experience, and with situations, let's just use our current situation, comes the need to adapt. Have you found this need to adapt just came naturally to you? Do you think?
Yes. And part of that is just my own personality
Hmm.
and adopting the lifestyle of like lifelong learning. So I think when we continue to be open to learning, then it's easy for us to be flexible and adapt with change. But what's been really great about this change with the pandemic is that it forces us to be a little sharper. It forces us to be more creative. And so now, in addition to the purpose finding and just the actual principles of transitioning from a stagnant place to a new career as far as resume writing and interviewing and selecting the right career. But now the need for the marketing aspect that I come from is more important than ever because it's noisy out here
Mm.
with the news, with the updates, with the uncertainty, with the changes that industries are going through right now. It's more important than ever for job seekers to be able to stand out in this very noisy place that we're in. So that marketing piece, how do you market yourself to stand out for an employer to essentially say, oh, I want that one. That would be
Yes.
good for my business. As if they're shopping. That's how we look at things. So I'm able now to have more conversations with people, with potential clients about how to market yourself well. Because beforehand, in my experience, people, they understood it, but they were like, oh, well, I can touch on that piece later. But now, no, this is at the forefront. This is what we have to deal with now. So
Mm.
now people are meeting me in this place of urgency with the marketing and branding yourself.
And I'd love to talk about that because that's what really stuck out for me with your business, Upwardly Paved Path, was that you are connecting, many of the HR level processes, including resumes, which I'd love to talk about, and you're
Yeah.
also talking about branding and marketing. Can we talk a little bit about that and how important it is to be able to present yourself in your best light?
It is your lifeline to be a polished brand.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell people whether we are trying to do this or not, we are all walking billboards for ourselves. And being on the other side of interviewing people, it's the brand that stands out when maybe you've had 5 or 6 interviews that day and there's been a lot of conversation, lots of things going on, and you're looking over resumes and making determinations of, well, who is best for this position? What I remember is, again, how someone presented themselves, or if they had a consistent theme in their background as far as their skill set and how they positioned it. If I can name those things quickly without having to read through their whole resume again, without having to read through my interview notes again, then I know that that was a person that was intentional about showing up as their best selves. And so aside from how well they answered the question, I remember you. And that's the key. That's the key tipping point for people to hear more yeses to their job applications and to their interviews. And there's so many aspects of marketing, but it happens at every point of the job search process and even within yourself, the language you use, from how your clothes fit to
Mm-hmm.
the colors that you wear, it's all sending a message. And so my key here is how to take all of those things to make a consistent and powerful message that lays perfectly with the audience that you're looking to serve.
And what I really love about this is that what it does is it makes, I guess, a prospect, a person, an individual looking to either fulfill a role or start a business, actually consider themselves as part of a marketing machine. They have to market themselves, and then when you put it into that context, Davina, it really becomes quite obvious, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And that's where we can get rid of frustration when
Mm-hmm.
we just consider ourselves a product because we are. And we're looking for someone to say, pick me.
Hmm.
I'm the best person that can solve your problems. It's one thing for me to say that just as I said it to you right now, but it's another thing for everything about me to speak louder than my words can.
And stand up and be counted. I'm looking through your wonderful bio here, and I'd love to talk about some of the tips that people could use when presenting themselves in front of a prospective employer.
Yes, I'd say the biggest one I can say and the easiest one to implement is to learn the language of your industry. So, I've worked many years in education.
Hmm.
So if I'm looking for a job within education, I know there's key words that need to be littered in my application, in my resume, and the whole process, such as well, in the States, it would be like Title IV funding, or I've worked in healthcare, so using terms like patient care and provider,
Hmm.
it speaks to my expertise. Because it's one thing to say that I've worked 4 years somewhere, but it's another thing for me to talk the talk, because that gives proof that I can walk the walk. So paying attention to that. And and most of the time, if we are looking to stay within the same industry, we know these words, but we're not aware that we know these words. So it's being intentional, sitting down and saying, okay, I work in advertising. What are the key terms that are used in everyday conversation? I need to, if I don't use them already, I need to use them in what I'm presenting. In my elevator speech, I need to be using these terms. So that is the quickest and easiest way for you to start to build your brand and to make people believe your brand ultimately.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I sit here and I think to myself, hearing all of those things and knowing full well that marketing has an element of being visually available, if you like, I've always looked at resumes as being a little bit clunky, a little bit out of
Oh,
date.
yeah.
Now, I wonder, um, could we possibly, or are we possibly seeing more use of videos in as part of a resume presentation nowadays?
I think in some industries, more than others, where creativity and stretching outside of the norm is celebrated. So certainly in the creative arts or graphic design, from a marketing standpoint, definitely. But you would see more of that on someone's portfolio website,
Right.
because that gives the employer something else to look at. Because again, and to your point, clunky resumes, it gives me anxiety personally to see that. And I have a YouTube channel and I have a video specifically dedicated to that. What employers hate seeing is people, they have so much experience and they want to add everything to their resume, but as a reviewer, I'm looking at it like these are way too many words. I can't even process this right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But video, definitely on a LinkedIn page, that's a great way to show some competitive advantage, is to basically have your elevator pitch and maybe some highlights about your accomplishments. But I would love for more people to start thinking about a portfolio website with, they can have their resume there, some key accomplishments, but a video, because that shows your personality. It takes your resume and make it more personable and palatable for potential employers.
And it doesn't need to be anything overly special, does it? It just tells you a couple of things for the mere fact that you've taken the time to do it. Is that you have the courage to do it, because a lot of people, I guess, fear getting in front of a camera. But there are just probably a lot of other hidden benefits. Now, I'd love to shift gears, if we could, Davina, and talk about your courses, Activate Career Transformation and Developing Your Success Factor.
Yes, so those are some of my smaller courses. The Success Factor course, that came about because I came to understand that success, it's an internal thing.
Mm-hmm.
Back to that mindset that we were talking about beforehand. Success is a mindset, which means that no matter the circumstance, no matter what environment that you're in, you can basically predict how successful you'll be internally based on a set of skills that I've identified that would cause you to be successful. And honestly, being more comfortable with what you have already internally, yet your unique makeup, your unique set of gifts and talents, and then you combine that with your purpose, that makes your success factor. And it's not external. Like people say, I have, people I mentor that might say, well, how can I be successful? And that's a very generic term
It's
when
very
you ask
broad.
it in that way. And it's personal. And that's the other thing that I teach in the course is
Hmm.
that it's a success is personal to you, which means you can't look outward for that, but defining it will also make it tangible and to manifest for that. And then activate career transformation. It goes back to mindset. It's doing that inner work that people skip over a lot of times because they want to get to the tangible things. They want to
Hmm.
get to how can I get more responses to my applications? How can I be more confident in my interviews? It starts with you reframing your life. Where do you want to go? What skills do you have? So within that, we take inventory of your skills. A lot of people don't know what they have because it's not natural for us to sit down and say, okay, I'm probably an expert in this skill. I'm an expert in public speaking. I'm maybe intermediate in this, but it forces you to take a deep mirror to look at everything that you've done up until this point and quantify it. And then even from a spiritual standpoint, because I don't separate it.
Hmm.
I think it all goes together. But what spiritual gifts do you have? Because that is operating in everything you do. And that is part of your brand, whether it has to be, whether it's labeled or not, is up to you, but it's knowing intuitively what is that thing that you have that is connecting you, to life. And then that last part is overcoming your biggest obstacles. It's the things that no one wants to talk about.
Mm.
But once you understand that, you stumble less
Yeah.
through life
Yeah.
and you stumble less through this process of trying to get to a new career or not just a job, but the next level. So that is the main key for that course.
Thank you, Davina. It has just been some great sage advice. So I love the idea that people can suddenly realize that, hey, look, chasing the dollar is not what my real purpose is. It's not where my passion lies. And, there is this opportunity to change how I'm looking at what I'm doing for the better. Now, let's talk about the 90-day career fix. What's that all about?
This is my shining star. I birthed this, so to speak, really out of my own success of getting out of the rat race of job hopping or being in really, really miserable places. And I've had some very interesting, I can laugh about it now, but I've had some very interesting jobs that were sucking me dry.
Mm-hmm.
And I take all of that experience as well as all the things that I'm learning and continue to learn to literally pick you up out of the place that you're in today and place you into the best place that you've been. And the 90-day career fix, there's so many aspects of where we dive deep into the career principles, but also those spiritual principles. There's the coaching around that spiritual gift that's identified in the Activate Career Transformation. We do everything that's in that smaller course, and then we break that out over 3 months. Now, statistically, it takes about 6 months for people to make a career change. But within the 90-day career fix, it's doing that in half the time. So we're coaching through each phase of the job search process and including that personality test and matching, figuring out what job titles should I actually be applying for instead of the what I call pray and spray. We're just like, I have 30 minutes. How many applications can I send out? And the probability is that if I send out 10, maybe I'll get 5 back.
Yeah.
But it's taking the frustration out of that process. And then there's the resume writing that comes from 2 modules about how to market yourself. One, how to write the terms, how to figure out those keywords that I talked about beforehand to refer to yourself based on your experience and what you perform at expert level that we've quantified. And then what are those marketing pieces? Because that's the other aspect of it. What are you leaving people with? Your business cards, how are we designing that and having a consistent look and feel? It's teaching you how to build that portfolio website. And again, we're constantly layering for your ideal audience who you are and what you have to offer. And then there's a piece where you're reviewing your resume, and we're doing mock interview training. And then there's 2 weeks specifically on job search strategy. Strategy. I want to emphasize strategy because we only have so much time in a day and so much energy in a day. So this is approaching it in a way that you'll hit your target. So it's taking all aspects of where you are, how you've gotten into that place, and it's wiping it clean, so to speak, and building you up to go to the next level. That personal obstacle that I talked about before, I'm coaching you through that so that by the end of the 90 days, it becomes a strength. So it's a building holistically for my clients to be able to repeat going from fulfillment to fulfillment
Yeah.
instead of bad job to
Bad
bad job.
job to bad job. It seems to
Yeah.
me that it's very comprehensive, and it's taken all of this wonderful content, all of the foundational pieces that you are going to need to be successful. Now, how does someone apply for this particular program, and how are they going to find you?
Sure. Starting on my website, which is upwardlypavedpath.com. And then you'll see it there on the homepage, which is the 90-day career fix, or the URL is just upwardlypavedpath.com/ 90-day career fix. And I'm on Facebook under Upwardly Paved Path, and Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube as well. And YouTube, they all have great resources. I'm constantly putting out free content just to help people to fill the gap in where they are right now.
Thank you so very much. Now, anybody who's on the call with us today, as is normally the case, I will be making some URL links back to Upwardly Paved Path. If you're looking to set up that new resume, if you're trying to find your purpose, I think Davina is the person that you need to speak with. And on that, Davina, thank you so very much for spending some time with me on the My Future Business show today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. This has been a real treat.
Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the call, then make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, share us with your friends, and book your spot on the show at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. And if you're looking for solutions that will help grow your business, then visit myfuturebusiness.com/shop.